You want to know what's going on here in the local Southern Oregon real estate market, not New York, LA, or Texas, right? It's current and local information that's relevant to you and will help you make the best decisions about buying or selling in Southern Oregon or even moving to Southern Oregon. And that's exactly what you're going to get on this video right here. There's no doubt that you've heard the opinions of the armchair real estate economists out there, right? Whether you're living in Medford, Oregon, or the surrounding areas or somewhere else completely, they exist everywhere. And those are the types of people who want to tell you everything that they know about how the market is going to do this or that. And it's entirely based on what they had heard from a fellow armchair real estate economist. I'm not going to tell you anything about what I've heard. I'm going to tell you what the numbers really say about Southern Oregon real estate. That way you are informed and you can make the best decisions that you need to make. And you can even have some information to take back to those know-it-alls and ask them what they think about this. So let's get into it. Hey, I'm Brian Simmons with eXp Realty. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Southern Oregon, and I would love to hear your questions about the Southern Oregon real estate market. So don't hesitate to drop a comment down below or even reach out to me directly with a call or a text to 541-954-7758, and I would love to hear from you. So that being said, let's go ahead and cut right to the chase and get into last week's data, and then we're going to look at the data for the last year up until this point. And take a look at what's really going on, what the numbers really say with the Southern Oregon real estate market. Let's go. So the market data today, it is September 27th. The market data says that we have 1,136 active single-family residential listings on the market between Jackson and Josephine counties, okay? In the last week, we saw 97 new listings hit the market, 117 price changes, 25 listings came back on the market, 89 went pending, 76 closed, and 36 were either expired, withdrawn, or canceled, going off the market for some reason other than selling. And so the things that jump out to me really quickly on that data from the last week is, number one, that the total number of inventory between Jackson and Josephine counties is like almost the exact same. It's one more this week than there was last week. Okay, that's pretty stable, I think, by definition. That's about as stable as you can get. So that was pretty cool to see. New listings kind of popped down a little bit, down to 97, which wasn't really anything really noteworthy. It went from 103 to 97, but kind of maintaining the same level that we have been. Price changes down a little bit. Nothing else really jumped up. Pending did go up, actually. I guess that jumped up quite a bit from 73 back up to 89. So that was really nice to see that bounce back. Would like to kind of see that stabilize, in the mid 80s or something. I think would be nice. So that's really the key things there on the last week's data. Nothing really too crazy. We're sitting at about 15 weeks worth of inventory with the level of buying activity and the amount of inventory we have, right around 15 weeks. So, and that's just based on a snapshot of that week. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for that week. But I want to show you, I'm going to pull up a screen here, and I'm going to show you exactly what the charts show you for the last year. Okay, and so hang out for 1 second. Let me pull that up. Okay, so let's talk directly about the main topic here, which is Southern Oregon real estate, what the numbers really say. So to do that, again, I wanted to show you what the actual numbers say. So we're going to look at charts and we're going to get into it. And I want to do that because this is what, the conversations with those armchair real estate economists, this is kind of what those conversations tend to really be about, is more the trends, right? Prices are coming down, or, the market's going to crash, or all these things, right? It's not really like what happened last week. It's more the trends. And so I wanted to just kind of show you what those are, so you can, again, take that data to those people and have a little bit of information to throw back at them, or just to base your own decisions on, or have for your own knowledge. Because what you're hearing out there, at least from what I've heard out there, is, and I told you I wasn't going to tell you what I heard, but I'm going to break my own rule. What I'm hearing is not positive, right? It's from those people, from the people that don't look at the data. They're like, wow, the market's crashing, rates are jumping up, things are coming down, don't buy, whatever. It's all nonsense. So let's look at the data and show you what it really actually says. So this chart here is looking at the number of listings that are on the market, okay? And we're going all the way back to August of 2020. to August of 2023. All right, so this is number of sold listings. Okay, so not number of listings on the market, but the number of listings that sold each month since August of 2020 to August of 23. All right, and again, we're looking at Jackson and Josephine counties, only single-family residential listings that have closed. All right, so it's obvious. You can see that this chart has a pretty strong downward trend up until this one right here, which is January of 2023. And since then, so that was the first of this year, since the first of this year, a very strong upward trend. All right, so you've seen a lot of listings being sold, a lot more being sold in August than were sold in January. And that's normal, okay? Like, that's not any breaking news. That's cyclical. You can look at the same thing here, January of, well, it's not really as prominent in 22 because, well, I'll show you in a second, but let's look at 21 as an example, right? So that was January of 2021, 288, and then on up to June, 480. We go back to January of 23, we had 169, and into August, 316. June, we had 331. So very clearly, we have upward trends from January to the summer months, right? That's pretty obvious. Didn't quite happen as strong in 22, and that's because if we look at January of 22, mortgage rates went from January, let's go early January 3rd, 3.29% into, in June of 22, 6. So they basically doubled in that amount of time, and that's what caused these things to kind of slow down. Like, it did go up like it normally would, and then it was kind of like, whoa, I don't know if we're going to buy, maybe we'll wait. So there's a lot of people kind of in that mindset there in the spring of 2022. Not so much this spring. There was less people buying. You can see that clearly. The number of sold listings was less in the spring. Look at, May 435 versus May 286. So definitely less listings sold. But the trend still, was quite strong here, just like it was in 2021. So that's something that I think is important to know. The takeaway from this chart is that, yeah, there were less homes sold. Okay, that's the key here. There were less homes sold. But the next chart is going to show us whether or not those homes were sold for less or if they maintained their values. All right, and as you can see on this chart here, it's relatively flat, okay? And if we look at, from this point right here, which is January of 23 to now, we're at 410,000. And we're looking at the sold median price, okay? So this is meaning if you took all the homes that sold and you put them in a line and you pick the middle one, that's the median, right? And so that's what we're looking at here. And in January of 2023, the median was $410,000. And it climbed and climbed and climbed to, in August, it was 439,000. We call it 440, 439,950. Close enough to 440,000. All right. So pretty good climb, right? $30,000 in from the first of the year, right? So that's I don't know what, 8% or something like that. Let's go. Okay, so we're gonna pull up the calculator and look at this. So if we go 440,000. That's where we're at now, over 410,000, which is where we're at in the 1st of January. That's 7.3% appreciation from January to August. That's pretty darn good for what people are saying is a down market, right? So that's showing us that the median home value went up in our area. That's important, right? If you look at it from, January of 21 to the same, August of 21, it went from 375 to 430. So that's even bigger. So let's just run that number real quick. 430 over 375. Okay, that's 14.6% appreciation. So did the appreciation slow down? Sure. But it's still appreciation, right? The home value went up still by 7% according to this data. So again, that's important to note because that's something that's pretty counter to the narrative that a lot of those armchair real estate economists are saying. They want you to believe that this number is going down, right? The news wants you to believe that this number is going down, and that's why you'll see a lot of headlines that try to twist this. Okay, they'll say, home appreciation less than half of what it was in 2021, which is true. But it went from 15% back here in appreciation to 7% here. 7% is still good. Is it technically true to say appreciation is half? Yes. But it's a very misleading headline, and it kind of leads you to believe that home values are going down, which is not right. So anyways, that's what's going on in the price trends. If you look at the sale and list price, this is showing you what the how much of your list price you're typically selling for. Okay, so right now 97.9%. That means if you listed for $100,000, you are on average going to sell for $97,900. Okay, that's the way that goes. You can see way back when things were rocking and rolling back in June of 21. People were getting over 100%. That's when it was insane and there was hardly anything on the market, and people were, going into a $400,000 home and offering them $425 because they just really, really wanted it. But let's take a look at what happened in June of 2021 with rates. They were back over here. June of 21, we were 3%. All right, that explains why this was happening. All right, and then as we went from June of 21 right in here, bam, that's a pretty strong upward trend in mortgage rates and a pretty strong downward trend in this list price. But I mean, still 97.9, right? This is why I've said a lot of times, should you be lowballing? Not really. I mean, there's certain homes that you could lowball, but you're still, even at the lowest, it was still 96.7% of the asking price was what people were getting. So not still a very good market to be lowballing, but there are times where it is appropriate to do so. And I actually made a video all about that I'll link up here for you to check out. Now, let's look at days on market, because this is something else that I think is really a pretty compelling chart. And what this shows is you can see the average number of days it took for a home to sell. And so, gosh, for all of 21, things were under 10 days, and into 22, pretty much all 21. And then we get into 22 and we see a spike in January, February. And then it comes back down again, and to the busy, the spring is kind of when things really, are at their busiest in the real estate market here locally in Southern Oregon. And then a strong climb in 22, all the way up to where, the median was 64 days in January of 23. And just not to continue to beat a dead horse here, but January of 23, we were looking at, 6%. And people were kind of wondering what the heck's going on with mortgage rates. So they saw a big climb, and they were thinking, well, maybe they'll come down, right? We saw this little dip, and that put us right into January. So people were thinking, maybe we'll wait and see what happens. Well, we saw what happened, and it wasn't very good. It would have been a great time to buy in January of 2023. So anyways, that's what happened here. But look at that. So we get back into spring. The days on market came back down. Throughout the summer, 15, 16 days on market was the median. And currently, in or through August, which is the most recent data we're looking at here, 27 days. I imagine September is going to probably be a little higher than that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. What's very important to note here, though, is just that the how extreme these swings got, right? So you saw this was kind of the normal upswing in days on market. It kind of went up quite a bit until the fall or till the winter, but look at how much more it went up and how much more exaggerated this same trend, because again, it's cyclical, right? Every January you see things high in terms of days on market, higher than it was in the spring and summer. So it's just crazy to me how exaggerated this was. And I don't know whether that's going to happen again this year, probably, with rates being what they are. We'll probably see some of that. But just a very exaggerated curve there, which is interesting. So let's show months of inventory. This one, I just want to show you real quick. It's not accurate because of the filters we're looking at. We're only looking at closed, so it's not pulling in everything we need to see. But we're not going to spend a lot of time on that because that one's not accurate. Volume, though, this is a good one because volume is the amount of, if you took all the home prices that sold and you added them up, it would be the volume, right? So there's in August there's $163 million worth of real estate sold, and on and on. You can see all these other months, but again, the key here is the trend from January to August is very clearly a nice upward trend, and that tends to be the case, every other January, through the year it continues on upward. But you look at August of 21, we were at 225 million. August of 22, we were at 175 million. August of 23, 163.5 million. So really not a big difference between last year and this year if you're looking at, August to August and other months in comparison throughout the summer. But really not a big difference. 175 to 164 is really not significant in my opinion. $10 million throughout the month, not a big difference. So that's what's kind of interesting though. The general impressions to me is that this doesn't fit what you hear about on the news, what you read in the headlines. Like the data doesn't really support a lot of that. To me, this supports is a pretty stable market compared to 2022, right? 22 was obviously different than 21, and that's very clearly because what we saw here with mortgage rates going through the roof. That's obviously a very, very sharp incline and increase in rates. And you can see that in some of these other graphs where, the number of listings was affected. Price trend really wasn't, but days on market really was. And so you see that kind of stuff come out and show in these charts. But pretty stable in just the amount of volume, the number of listings sold. Pretty comparable, August 316 versus August 336, not a big difference year to year. Okay. So that's really my take on this is that I think you look at what we saw this year versus last year, the data is showing us that we're in a pretty stable place. The cyclical nature is definitely amplified like I showed you in those charts, but really not anything too wild going on. It's certainly not showing that it's crashing. That's the key takeaway I would take. So, and that's what's, again, like that's what's not happening. That's I think the other takeaway from these charts is what isn't happening. We're not seeing a huge crash in the price trends, right? Do you see that diving off? No. It's increasing from January to now. It's increasing. So this is again the price trend. So that's the key. Prices aren't coming down. They are still appreciating. It was 7% this year appreciation. So that's a really good data point to remember if you're going to remember anything. Home values in Medford, Grants Pass, Jackson, Josephine counties, home values went up 7% from January to August of 2023. That's a very, very good takeaway to be able to tell people, especially the ones that are saying, oh, everything's going down and all this sort of stuff. So anyways, thank you for watching. If there's anything I can do to help you learn, buy, or list real estate here in the Southern Oregon area, Medford, Grants Pass, Ashland, Jacksonville, any of these areas, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can call me or text me directly, 541-954-7758. Please don't hesitate to reach out. There's also a link in the description of this video that you can use to set up an online meeting for us to meet face-to-face. And so I'd love to meet with you that way if that's more convenient for you. So thank you again for watching. Don't forget to click that like button, hit the subscribe icon, and share this video with anybody you know looking to learn, buy, or list real estate in Southern Oregon. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.